discussion, The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Ammous. I finished the book, and I have to say it's one of those seminal books that will definitely change the course of my thinking, and incredibly inspiring. And the reason it's so inspiring is just because it's very simple. It does exactly, which is interesting, it does exactly what Saifedean also claims Bitcoin does, which is it just solves for a very simple problem in a very simple way. The book solves the problem of understanding economics, the fundamental basics of economics, and it uses Bitcoin as a conduit to explain that. Bitcoin itself solves the problem of hard money. Simple and very, very straightforward. Hard money. The way it does it, there's a couple more things to say here: trustless, decentralized, rare, scarce, things like that. But I'll talk about this. But fundamentally, I've learned a few things in this throughout this book, and I think the most important learning, which is not even a learning, it's actually a change in perspective. So I changed my view on a couple of things. Fundamentally, I don't believe that this idea of blockchain technology or this concept that there's this innovation, the internet of value and all that kind of stuff, it's all rubbish. There's only one thing, which is there is an invention called Bitcoin, the Bitcoin protocol, on which Bitcoin money is built. And it solves for the Byzantine generals' problem and therefore creates hard money because it's trustless, it's decentralized and scarce. And because hundreds, if not thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people voluntarily started working on that protocol and created what we call the Bitcoin protocol today and Bitcoin money. Because of that, this particular phenomenon is, number one, pretty much impenetrable. There's no throat to choke, and most importantly, it's something that allows people to safely save money. There are risks. Saifedean talks about them, and I have to say there's a couple of open or unsolved problems in the book, but fundamentally there is no such thing as blockchain technology. This idea that you have this thing called blockchain technology, now you can do stuff and create companies and all that, it's not interesting to me anymore. I'll explain why. This is Not Even Wrong podcast. It's September 30th, 2022. This is Krim Delko for the day. The fund is down 70 basis points. The market's down 1.5%. For the year, we're down 35.1%. The market's down 26.3%. We're underperforming by 8.8%. So I just finished The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Ammous. I highly recommend the book. It's an audiobook free. You can get it, I think, anywhere you get audiobooks. The fundamental message of the book is, number one, it explains what economics is. So the message is, this is economics. I'm going to explain what it means. And second, that Bitcoin is the conduit by which Saifedean uses the explanations for economics, but also concludes that finally the globe has a true hard money. And because of that, we have enormous potential. This is key. And as an investor, we should not be wasting our time investing in other coins and companies and all that kind of stuff that are building other blockchains. Let's just focus on the Bitcoin blockchain and build on that. It starts with the currency, which solves the problem for hard money. That's it. This is not very complicated. This is not rocket science. And why is hard money important? Now we're going back to the explanation for what economics is all about. Economics is the behavior of people around time. How do people allocate themselves in time? What should I do next? That's the question that economics is answering. For about 100 years, we had this concept of Keynesian economics, which had an elastic money supply. What Keynes understood is that people are impacted by money. Their behavior changes with money. What they did not understand is that having an elastic money supply is bad for the world, and that a scarce, hard money supply is a much better solution for the problem of allocating labor around the world. Allocating labor around the world, because that's what money really is. It's an information technology that helps allocate labor. Should I do this or should I do that? And the way I answer this question is by taking money as a signal. That's it. Money is signaling to me what I should be doing. Should I do this or should I do that? There's something called the time preference of money, which is part of that equation. There's something called skills. There's something called capital, which means I have stored money in the form of capital, and then I have the ability to execute labor right now in real time, which is called labor, and I can do this or that. I cannot work and maybe invest my time in learning something, so increase my output in the future. But fundamentally, and this is another big sentence out of the book, is that all of economics comes down to the allocation of time, the opportunity cost of time. That's what economics is. And hard money is just a much more efficient way to deal with the problem of what should I do next. Let me be clear, this is not new. This is not, Saifedean Ammous and the Austrian economists have not, they're not the only ones who believe that. Everything in economics evolves around money because people have realized that money has an influence on people's behavior. Now, the only thing that I think the Bitcoin standard clarifies, which maybe sometimes wasn't clear, is that if you have hard money, you're creating much better behavior. I think that's the fundamental difference. What do I mean with much better behavior? Behavior that is geared towards more efficient solutions. So if you think of the world as a Popperian conglomerate of actions, okay, so we have humans and they organize themselves around problems. And now they can do different things. They can try to do X, they can try to do Z, they can try to do Y. Well, how do they choose what to do? And the fundamental thesis of the Austrians is, if you give them hard money, they will do things which will increase everybody's welfare. That's what the Austrians say. They will further say that if you let them solve problems with hard money, they will do things that benefit them directly, and somehow, and this is a little bit of Adam Smith there too, the invisible hand will make sure that it's good for everybody. Now, again, I'm not here to advocate for or against a particular philosophical direction or anything like that. But what I really strongly believe in is that if you have a system with hard money, you will advance a lot faster than if you don't. It's a conjecture. We had some proofs with that. Let's say Switzerland versus France. If you want, Singapore versus Indonesia. Saifedean uses examples from the Roman Empire, for example. So that we have enough cases where we can actually prove that hypothesis. And interestingly enough, if we want to use Popper here again, we can't really refute it. Show me a society, take an A/B test, something along the lines of East Germany versus West Germany, something like that, anywhere in the world. Some tribe somewhere in the jungle, I don't care, it doesn't have to be a country in sort of the more modern understanding of a country. Doesn't matter. The point is, show me a place where we had hard money and soft money, and the soft money got further than the hard money. So we can't refute this. So the hypothesis is just hard money creates much better solutions. Now, this particular episode is actually not about that. This episode is about something else which really dawned to me today. And it's beautiful when you learn things, when you know something that you didn't know before. It's a beautiful thing. And this is one of those moments where I think I can share that. And what I'm trying to say is the following. I think that Bitcoin is a fantastic invention that the protocol, the Bitcoin protocol, is incredibly important for all the reasons that Saifedean lists. But what I also believe is that blockchain technology is a hoax. It's a cargo cult culture. What do I mean with that? Well, cargo cult culture, Richard Feynman coined that term. It's a tribe somewhere in the Pacific. They used to get food from the American soldiers in World War II. The planes used to land. They gave them food. And when World War II stopped, the tribe was desperate to get more planes and food. Well, the planes didn't come anymore because the war stopped. So what they started doing is warship planes with doing stuff like putting artificial towers there and light fires and hoping that those planes come. Obviously, that was a futile exercise. So I think machine learning today seems to me a little bit like that. Another word for that is like we have a hammer and we think everything is a nail. It's cargo cult culture where we have the, or in other words, we have this hammer and everything is a nail. Well, it's not. You know, how many presentations do I have to go to? I just went to a graph network seminar at Stanford, and you know, it's just it seems to me that a lot of the stuff that people are doing is useless, to say it bluntly. And I think blockchain technology, Saifedean talks about this in his book. He says, look, what is blockchain technology? What does it actually, what does it mean? I mean, what are we talking about here? You know, what are we trying to improve? Are we trying to improve our payment system? Are we trying to, you know, get rid of lawyers? There's all these concepts that supposedly blockchain technology is supposed to solve. And there's all these VCs walking around, I invest in blockchain. Now, I want to say the following. First, I do believe that blockchain technology is a cargo cult culture because we had this one invention, we solved the Byzantine generals problem, we solved trustless, decentralized hard money with Bitcoin, and that's it. That's a great solution for a fantastic problem. But now let's not go and create payment systems, you know, NFTs, all that kind of stuff. Let's not start, you know, we're not cargo cult culture here. We're not gonna now try to, you know, hit all these nails that are not hittable with this particular hammer. Let's just relax and focus on what we really have, which is hard money. And, you know, lo and behold, that particular application is going through the roof. That's the application that is actually happening, that is actually being used by real people in the real world. And all this other stuff, how many times have I, and I've fallen in that trap myself, where I told to myself, oh, you know, blockchain technology is interesting. We even had it in our presentation. We took it out. We replaced it with Bitcoin is solving for hard money, period. It's a little bit more subtle than that. Bitcoin is solving Byzantine generals problem, trustless, decentralized money equals hard money, and that's a great problem to solve, a fantastic problem to solve, because of all the things I just said. So I think what I want to sort of conclude with here is that I think this idea that we have this new wave now of the Internet of Trust, and we have all this sophistry and rigorous academic research into, you know, how should the blockchain be organized? What kind of decision making? All that stuff. Look, maybe there's some ancillary knowledge that we can gain for other problems. You know, for example, blockchain technology can be used in rocket science, because we had to have this, you know, the idea that you have, once you're up in space and you have a couple of computers that are supposed to navigate the rocket, and if they don't agree with each other, you have to find some way to find an agreement in a protocol type of way. So that's interesting. So we could have applications there. I don't want to dismiss necessarily the advances that come from the Bitcoin network, because there is a little bit of an internet-esque feeling here, that we have something which started somewhere and that could morph into something a lot more interesting. That's my point here, and I think that's what
a lot of people in Silicon Valley are excited about. But there's also, unfortunately, this whole science, these snake oil people who go around and try to raise money and all that stuff, and that's fine. I mean, that's what Silicon Valley is, always has been. And we don't know what the next big thing will be. So let's just throw shit at the wall. I think, excuse my French, I think Jay Powell is going to take care of that with his interest rate policy. So we'll have a lot more conservative investment, which is good, which is healthy. Healthy in a way that we'll have less waste, period. So there's all this stuff. The point, though, is that I think one learning, and the same applies to machine learning, I think electric cars, you see, we solve a problem. And we should be humble enough to just focus on that problem and say, okay, let's solve the hard money problem, we solve a business intelligence problem. Let's go solve other problems, but let's not take this particular solution for hard money and now try to generate a venture capital industry around it. You know, people think they can go find work just by putting blockchain on the slide. Well, it's not that easy, because most of the blockchain stuff that's supposedly being introduced in innovation and all that is there's a conference in San Francisco just this week, where they had, Serena Williams was there and Vitalik Buterin and all that, and I mean, come on, this is really starting to look like I don't know, what is this? Entertainment for trust fund kids? The heirs of Fiat, who supposedly are hedge fund venture capitalists in London, they have a reason to fly to San Francisco. Is that what this is all about? Please, let's relax and lean back a little bit and try to take this a little bit more seriously. Try to be a bit more rigorous. And I think Saifedean has done a great job in his book. And again, I highly recommend it. The big takeaway, hard money, is Bitcoin solved for hard money. That's it. And we're going to focus on that and build on that and not get entangled in blockchain technology. There's no such thing as blockchain technology. There's the Bitcoin protocol, and there's the offsprings, which are trying to somehow take advantage of this train ride. But in the end, there's nothing more and nothing less achieved with the Bitcoin protocol. We solved for hard money, and that in itself is more than enough. I mean, here's just to finish. Here's a nice analogy. The guy who invented numbers, he solved the problem of counting. Numbers are phenomenal technology to count. Are we going to build an venture capital industry now around numbers? Oh, we can change banking. We can change this. It's ridiculous. Numbers are good for counting. Now, there's a lot of ancillary stuff coming out of there. The whole compute revolution is built around numbers, of course, but we have, imagine if we invented numbers and we have number technology, and then you have these companies that call themselves, instead of .com, they would call number.com or something like that. That's what this blockchain stuff is. That's what machine learning is. A lot of times Silicon Valley falls into that trap. And I think Saifedean, in his book, The Bitcoin Standard, unveils that really nicely and drives home the most important thing, which is, again, Bitcoin solved for hard money. Let's leave it at that. Let's be satisfied with that, because that in itself is a fantastic, fantastic problem to solve. It's going to proliferate wealth generation for many generations to come. Thank you.